Ready.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillah ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecmaîn. Allahu la ilahe illa huvel hayyul kayyum. İnne dîne indallâhil İslam. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. Allah, there is no God but He, the ever-living, the self-subsistent. Verily, the religion before Allah is Islam. So we have started this 8th word before, and we will continue this week, inshallah. So there is a story we have read before. So let me summarize it a little bit. So there are two brothers. The one that is seeking for freedom and does not want to accept that there is a ruler. And there is the other one, the other brother, who is going on the path that has regulations, and he accepts the regulations to feel more secure. And they make a choice, and they go and follow a path, and the path goes through some gardens that has good things and bad things inside, and they make interpretations for themselves. And then let me mute my phone. Sorry. Okay. And then they came about to a well, and they fall into the well because there is a lion behind that is attacking them. On the way, in the middle of the well, there is a tree branch. They clinch, they hold on to the tree branch. There's a dragon down at the bottom of the well, and there is a lion at the top of the well. And these two brothers both are, holding the branch. The branch has a lot of fruits on it, different fruits. The branches are eaten by two mouse, and then they try to make sense of what is going on in this situation. They're trying to understand the things going around them, and they have different takes on what the situation they are in means to them. So we have read this part, the story. This is the gist of it that I was able to define it in my words. And so this is the page. So we're on this page, right? Okay. So we are going into how to understand. Ustad explains the situation of these two brothers and how we should understand this, what is going on in two brothers' lives. To take from, let's read a paragraph that's, the previous paragraph, and so that we can make sense more of it. And I'll just read it and we'll continue, inshallah. This is the 9th page. So look, the unhappy traveler on the left road is all the time trembling with fear, waiting to enter the dragon's mouth, while the fortunate one is invited into a blooming, splendid garden full of fruit. And the unfortunate one's heart is being pounded by an awful terror and grievous fear, while the fortunate one is gazing at and observing strange things as a delightful lesson, with a pleasant fear and loving knowledge. Also, the miserable one is suffering torments in desolation, despair, and loneliness, while the fortunate one is enjoying himself, full of hope, longing, and a sense of belonging. Furthermore, the unfortunate one sees himself as a prisoner, subject to the attacks of wild beasts, while the fortunate one is an honored guest who is on friendly terms and enjoying himself with the strange servants of his generous host. Also, the unhappy one is hastening his torments by indulging in fruits which are apparently delicious. These are the fruits that's on the tree, in the well, which are apparently delicious but in fact poisonous. For the fruits are samples. There is permission to taste them so as to seek the originals and become customers for them, but there is no permission to devour them like an animal. But the fortunate one tastes them and understands the matter. He postpones eating them and takes pleasure in waiting. Moreover, the unfortunate one is wronging himself due to his lack of discernment. He is making a truth and the situation which are as clear and bright as daylight into a dark and oppressive fear, into a hellish situation. He does not deserve pity, nor does he have the right to complain to anyone. For example, if a person at a pleasant banquet in a beautiful garden in summer among his friends make himself drunk through filthy intoxicants, then imagines himself hungry and naked in the middle of winter among wild animals, and starts shouting out and cry, he does not deserve to be pitied. He is wronging himself. He is insulting his friends by imagining them to be wild beasts. The unfortunate brother is like this, but the fortunate one sees the truth. Shall we discuss this situation a little bit before we move on of the one on the left, the brother on the left side, the situation of his, and make a connection with the real life and what we are going through in real life and people in different situations. Nazif Ali, would you like to comment on this?
Sure. Well, I'll do my best. Just and I'll make sure to make it maybe short. And well, this is a great place, and it just kind of reminds me again from different parts of Risale-i Nur. And I always love just this comparison between two brothers and two friends, and stuff. He always makes and sometimes brings examples from kind of just different situations, and especially kind of the part that just like how they begin and just like it's about like it's been perspective, right? So like the way that they are just immediately trying to understand the situation that they are in. And I like especially when he explains, and all these stories they match, and in a way that Ustad always forces us to question, and to question the environment that we're in, and immediately just like just try to like just familiarize yourself, but not too much, in a sense that this is what I get. And so especially just the one that is just like he just always kind of warns, and whenever he gives an example, a special look around you, and you can take a look at it, or just take a lesson, or maybe you can just like taste it a little bit, not too much, and yada yada. So, but it's the beautiful kind of sense that just in a way that just he's just like the example that he gives when looking at, and as I said, like just been questioning your surrounding, but try to understand it. So, and don't like just immediately kind of just complain. And this is the one that just like he says, like if a person, right? So like it gets in the garden, makes you get so like they're drunk, and then just like now, you're not only hurting yourself, you're not only just just doing wrong, but also you're trying to like insult the others, right? So like just and of course, just now you're bothering other people as well, and you don't deserve kind of mercy, just. And I guess like this is also kind of question. This is the part that I would like to also kind of try to understand with you guys, like just what should be the kind of just some of the limits, right? So like when he says like he doesn't deserve any kind of mercy or something, so the pity. So I mean, is that right? So like now that means So he's also kind of just giving us some sort of kind of, surrounding. So like, just, okay, so these are the limits. Don't push it much, and then don't show any type of kind of mercy and pity to other kind of just, people. So, and I guess, and also like in a way that, so we shouldn't be also kind of make ourselves kind of, busy with other kind of people, and just, take your lesson and move on. So don't be like them. So like there are always some examples in life, and even like our immediate surroundings. This is what I kind of get so far. So because I don't want to get talk too much, because so most of us, like, and I guess like we know like how this story is gonna go, and I would like to let Ustad also kind of just tell others, and of course and other brothers also, please to do chime in. So, and I'm gonna stop here.
Thank you, Nazif abi. Thank you so much for your contribution. Colin Hocam he's also in, I guess. Abi, would you like to comment on this?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Welcome.
I'm not sure, how far did you read last week? Because I wasn't here last week. Did you read the whole thing?
No, we just started with the paragraph. It says, for example, I just read the previous paragraph. This is where we left off with, for example.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, as Nazif said, I think people who've read this know what's coming afterwards, but this is a long story, if you wish, and it reminds me of the stories that I read and was told as a child. Usually fairy stories in the West. Fairy stories are very, very popular, and they're all representational. They're all symbolic, highly symbolic, and we know that we live in a symbolic universe. And we know that the Risale-i Nur uses a lot of allusions and metaphors and allegories and symbols, and in that sense, it's very fitri. And I think what Ustad is doing here, he usually sets up two individuals who represent kind of opposite or antithetical positions, such as a very humble man and a very arrogant man. And here we're talking about someone who is very optimistic and someone who is very pessimistic. And I think we know how this is going to end. But I think what we have to bear in mind is that Ustad is not necessarily talking about two separate individuals, because
Yes.
we all have a kind of duality within us.
Yes.
We have one side which is oriented towards khair, and we have nafsul amara, which is oriented away from it. And so these two individuals, the pessimistic and the optimistic, sometimes argue and quarrel and have adventures together in the same person, in the character of the same individual, because we all have nafsul amara. So we shouldn't, I don't think we should trick ourselves into thinking, here is one guy and there is another guy, and I'm on the side of this guy, and then unbelievers are on the side of the other guy, because it doesn't work like this. So these two guys are within us, actually. And we have to decide through our lives constantly which side we're going to take. So we can't see ourselves as being just one or the other. We are, in many senses, both. And this is important, because we shouldn't think that pessimism is something which happens to others. We're always under imtihan, conditions, and imtihan is not easy. And therefore, Ustad, just as he sometimes addresses himself, his own nafs, and he berates himself, he castigates himself, we should take that attitude on board as well, I think. That's all for the moment.
Yeah, I sometimes I get together with people, and when you're around with people, there's a topic that opens up and conversation starts. When I go to university and sit with other, colleagues, and there is always some kind of, you complain a lot. You complain about this, you complain about that, and then I go to the Dersane Medrese, and people are always happy and they don't complain as much. So I guess there is a nuance in this. Maybe we lack our faith in Allah sometimes, and and start complaining about the things about we focus on the bad things and complain instead of focusing on the good things, and make sense, and be happy with it. We have to check ourselves every day in every situation in life, I guess. So we can be in both situations. This is not like the guy on the left is not somebody else. It could be us as well in many cases, as you just said, Colin Hocam. Thank you for that. So Ustad will explain in the end, so we can move on and see what he says as well. So the unfortunate brother is like this. The fortunate one sees the truth, and the truth is good. By perceiving the beauty of the truth, the fortunate brother is being respectful towards the truth's owner. So he deserves his mercy. Thus, the meaning becomes clear of the Quranic decree, مَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ سَيِّئَةٍ فَمِنْ نَفْسِكَ. Know that evil is from yourself, and good is from Allah. Know that evil is from yourself, and good is from Allah. If you compare the other differences in the same way, you will understand that the evil commanding soul, nafs of the first brother, has prepared a sort of hell for him, while the good intention, good will, good character, and good thoughts of the other have allowed him to receive abundant bounty, experience true happiness and prosperity, and to display shining virtue. O my soul, and O you who is listening to this story together with my soul, if you do not want to be the unfortunate brother and want to be the fortunate one, listen to the Quran, obey its decrees, adhere to them, and act in accordance with them. If you have understood the truths in this comparison, you will be able to make them correspond to the truths of religion, the world, man, and belief in Allah. I shall point out the important ones, then you may deduce the finer points yourself. So look, of the two brothers, one is a believing spirit and a righteous heart. The other is an unbelieving spirit and a depraved heart. Of the two roads, the one to the right is the way of the Quran and belief in Allah, while the left one is the road of rebellion and denial. The garden on the road is man's fleeting life in human society and civilization, where good and evil, and things good and bad, and clean and dirty, are found side by side. The sensible person is he who acts according to the rule, take what is pleasant and clear, and leave what is distressing and turbid, and goes on his way with tranquility of heart. As for the desert, it is the earth and this world. The lion is death and the appointed hour. The well is man's body and the time of his life, while its 60-yard depth points to the normal lifespan of 60 years, and the tree is the period of life and the substance of life. The two animals, one white and one black, are night and day. The dragon is the road to the intermediate realm and pavilion of the hereafter, whose mouth is the grave. But for the believer, its mouth is a door opening from a prison onto a garden. As for the poisonous vermin, they are the calamities of this world. But for the believer, they are like gentle, divine warnings and favors of the most merciful to prevent him slipping off into the sleep of heedlessness. The fruits on the tree are the bounties of this world, which the absolutely generous one has made in the form of a list of bounties of the hereafter, and both as examples of them and warnings and samples inviting customers to the fruits of paradise. And the tree producing numerous different fruits despite being a single tree indicates the seal of the eternally besought ones as Samed, power, the stamp of divine lordship, Rububiyya, and the signet of the sovereignty of Godhead, Uluhiyya. For to make everything from one thing, that is, to make all plants and fruits from earth, and create all animals from a flute, and to create all the limbs and organs of animals from a simple food, together with making everything one thing, that is, arts like weaving a simple skin and making flesh particular to each animal from the great variety of foods that animals eat, is an inimitable stamp and seal peculiar to the ruler of pre-eternity and post-eternity, Ezel and Ebed, who is the single and eternally besought, As-Samet. For sure, to make one thing everything, and everything one thing, is a sign, a mark, peculiar to the Creator of all things, the one powerful over all things. As for the talisman, it is the mystery of the purpose of creation, which is solved through the mystery of belief, and the key is, Ya Allah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. There is no God but Allah, and Allah, there is no God but He, the ever-living, the self-subsistent. The dragon's mouth being transformed into the garden door is a sign that although for the people of misguidance and rebellion, the grave is a door opening, in desolation and oblivion, onto a grave distressing as a dungeon and narrow as dragon's stomach. So before going into the, should we finish? This is gonna go a little bit further. Shall we discuss until this part, what is going on and how Ustad interprets the story before going into the guy on the left and how he understands the situation? So let me go to the previous pages and we can discuss it, inshallah. I mean, to repeat all the things that I already read would take some time. So I guess we can start discussing on what we already understood from the paragraph. Do you want me to read again, or Colin Hocam, would you like to chime in to what you understand from the story, the reality of the story?
Yeah, I think what Ustad is doing, he's bringing together all of these binaries, isn't he?
Yeah.
In the sense that he's showing us things that believers and unbelievers, they all see the same things. You know, they don't see different things, actually. They see the same things, but they see the same things differently. So, for example, with the example of death, the dragon's mouth is the gate to the next world, right? Through the intermediate realm. So an unbeliever would see death. We know this anyway, because death is it's the last taboo in Western civilization, in Western, well, actually, almost everywhere now. Death is seen as something, you know, it's an aberration. It's terrible. It shouldn't happen. We try to put it off. We try not to think about it. We try to anesthetize ourselves so that we don't even have to bring it into our minds. And when it happens, of course, that's the end of the world for us, and the beginning of nothingness if you're a believer. So, of course, it's portrayed as a dragon, or here as a lion, actually. The lion is death, and the dragon's mouth is the grave. In another place in the Risale, Ustad says, you know, which civilization, you know, which kind of achievement, which kind of, you know, technological wonder can answer this terrible, terrible silence of the fall into the grave and the non-existence beyond it, in an amazing passage. Now, an unbeliever doesn't welcome death in the sense that, you know, oh yes, I'll die tomorrow, it's no problem. But what the believer has is a conceptual language that he or she can use to understand death and to rationalize it, to contextualize it, and to accept it. So for a believer, death is the same as life. It is a creation, and there is a point at which this world will, for us, come to an end. Our body will stop working, and we go through the garden gate from this garden into another garden, into a waiting room, before we go on to another garden. And so for us, if we internalize death properly, when we look at death, we see a garden door. And of course, we have anticipation. We have, you know, we have anxieties to a certain extent. Will I be acceptable? You know, will what I'm wearing be right for the place? You know, things like this. And when I say what I'm wearing, I'm talking about the divine names. You know, which names have I given back? And you know, Allah will reflect on me more there, so that I fit in the garden. So we have those kind of you know, anxieties. We wouldn't be human if we didn't, but we don't see it as a dragon. We don't see it as a lion. We don't see it as a dragon's mouth. Terrifying. We know what death is, or we should. Whereas the unbeliever doesn't know, because he never ever thinks about it. He tries not to think about it. And so when he looks at death, death appears to him as he thinks. So we know that Allah says, you know, my abd is, I am to my abd as he thinks of me, right? So this also goes for death as well. Death is what you think it is. So if you think it's a dragon's mouth, it will be a dragon's mouth. If you think it's a garden gate, it will be a garden gate. So we don't see different things. We see the same things differently. And then he goes on to talk about, you know, he gives the game away afterwards. He tells us what these things stand for. And when you were reading it, and when I looked ahead, I realized that maybe 600 years ago, no one would have needed an explanation. You know, Ustad gives the explanation of what these things stand for, because we no longer see the universe as representational. We no longer understand symbols. We no longer understand stories and allegories and metaphors, unfortunately. It's very interesting that Ustad does this. The scholars or the thinkers of 600 years ago wouldn't have needed to do it, because they would have known that the people, you know, they'll get the imagery, they'll get the symbols. But unfortunately, we don't anymore. That was just something that came to my mind.
Yeah. We're caught up in a very fast-paced life struggle. We don't even try to make sense of the things around us. We're just rushing into something. We are too busy, as if we are really accomplishing something, and we just miss a lot of things around us. We don't see the symbolism. We don't try to interpret the things around us as much. And we think, even after all of this, we think we are more civilized than the previous generations.
Yeah, we've become TikTokified, you know. Fortunately, if we can't understand it in less than 30 seconds, it's a waste of our time, and time is money, right? And money is power. So, you know, we move on. Unfortunately, you've put your finger on the spot perfectly.
I wholeheartedly, I agree. Yeah, just certainly we're too distracted, and as Colin said, like, yeah, seriously. So we miss like in a minute things, and that's why, like, I mean, the reminder of Said Nursi, like, repeatedly, he just like basically drags us back to, like, the point that, like, just please just don't forget that you are the guest here. So just look at and just find the real kind of, just, you know, the host, right? Don't forget that you're a guest and here. So, like, there is a one who has been, like, in a given, like, in a continuously, he keeps on giving and given to you. And that's why, like, I guess, like, there is this the verse was given here, so long, know that evil is from yourself and good is from Allah. So it's reminding again, so don't be like an egoistic, like don't be selfish, don't do that, like, because now, yes, I mean, I'm creating the evil, but you want it, but the good is, like, always from me, because look around you, right? So, like, I mean, just even this body, So we didn't get it, like we didn't buy it, right? So, and all of the beautiful things that come in right in front of us, like now just the apples coming, like the cherries and eggs and milk and everything just right in front of us. And who is the one that, who is the provider? So continuously ask yourself, right? So like, and just now, just people are dying, people are just coming in. And so, but then, so just question it, right? So again and again, just go back to the basics. Question yourself, like in a question all around you. So where did you come from and where is your destination? So, and I guess like that's why even in this little story, I guess there is again a reminder, right? So like, and I'm just now question it. So like a lot of things happening right before you. And like, what is it to me that just ask the real question? So what is like this, whoever is now providing all these beautiful things and plus all other activities, who is this, like who is the host, right? And what does he want from me? So I guess like
Exactly.
he was right. So like now maybe back then, so most of these like scholars, they didn't need any explanation, but we are too distracted now, as you guys mentioned. So so like, and we as human beings, we all kind of got lost and just we somehow like assume that, oh, life is like an infinite, so I have infinite amount of time, so I have more than 24 hours a day. But then like, but that is the illusion of time, right? So or maybe just that is the illusion thing that has been being fed to a lot of people, and they somehow like, or just, and of course, this beautiful kind of age that we are living in, the productivity is so high, efficiency high, and then we don't have to do much of things, and just things are being done. Maybe back then we needed 10 hours to build something so simple, kind of just now it just like it happens in just 10 seconds or maybe 20 minutes, depending. And of course now just we have extra time in our hands. So what should we do? Oh yeah, just basically do some other kind of stuff. But that is the one that we are like just losing. So we're too distracted and we just assume that just we have too much time, but unfortunately, so just life goes by. So, and we are basically just now, the message in front of us has been like, and just now Allah Almighty is just sending every single minute all these now reminders for us. Like now there's a death, like there's a appointed hour, and we are on a journey. So at the end, yes, so these are the things that were waiting for us. And Allah, in return, He wants something from us. And that is the message, I guess. So He repeatedly just reminds us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Yeah, we get caught up. We're just too egotistic, individualistic. We live in an individualistic society where the thing that what only matters is the benefit that you're getting from outside world. The value of things around us is related to the benefit, the capitalism or things like that. But you just said, the guy on the right side, he's asking for how to serve to the creator of this universe, and the other guy is just how to devour and eat and make benefit for himself. So it's about maybe otherliness, like to serve to a bigger purpose instead of just trying to get benefit of things around us. I really like also the symbol of vermins. These insects. For the right, the one for the right one on the right side, it's just a reminder. The way Ustad explains it, it's a reminder of the calamities comes to the believer as well, but it's just to keep us on our toes and not to slip away from the righteous path, to keep us on going on the right path. Ustad says compassionate slaps. There is a chapter on that, and that's really interesting. And I like to read that chapter. Sometimes I enjoy it, and this is how we should interpret the bad things that happens in our lives. It's also important. So let's look at let's continue for the guy on the left. Ustad explains it as okay. So the dragon's mouth being transformed into the garden door is a sign that although for the people of misguidance and rebellion, the grave is a door opening in desolation and oblivion, onto a grave distressing as a dungeon and narrow as a dragon's stomach. For the people of the Quran and belief, it's a door which opens from the prison of this world onto the fields of immortality, from the arena of examination onto the gardens of paradise, and from the hardships of life onto the mercy of the All-Merciful. The savage lion turning into a friendly servant. So this is Ajal, right? That follows us in a close pace. The lion turning into a friendly servant and the docile mount is a sign that, although for the people of misguidance, death is a bitter, eternal parting from all their loved ones, and the expulsion from the deceptive paradise of this world, and the entry in desolation and loneliness into the dungeon of the grave, for the people of guidance and the Quran, it is the means of joining all their old friends and beloved ones who have already departed for the next world, and the means of entering their true homeland and abode of everlasting happiness. It is an invitation to the meadows of paradise from the prison of this world, and the time to receive the wage bestowed out of the generosity of the most merciful and compassionate one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for services rendered to him, and the discharge from the hardship of the duties of life, and the rest from the drill and instruction of worship and examination. So this is all an interpretation of what is death for the believer and what death would mean for an unbeliever. But you know, even us as Muslims, we tend to forget this, and we don't contemplate enough on what is death and what is awaiting us, and we hope for the better, and we try to strive for the better. But to strive is, we should organize our lives around Islam, our deen. But in many cases, we do the opposite. We organize everything about worldly, and we try to, put things in the middle. Like, we pray salah, namaz, when we find the time. However, instead, we should pray on time and organize the things and the worldly things after that. So, may Allah give us the guidance and the force, the ability to put deen in front as a primary living force for us. Would you like to comment?
Kind of a point that I just wanted to make right here, since like we're now getting towards the end of this the story, is that Kolnojam, like he was right at the beginning. So just especially when we started this little story, so like now just we shouldn't be like just taken aside, right? So, and it's just it is us, like who he now addresses, right? So every single actually kind of just now nafs. So now everybody's like listening to the story, and let's not forget, like life is dynamic, and we're always going to be tested, and this test is going to happen every single minute, and we are the ones actually now going on this little kind of maybe a little kind of battle, or just little kind of challenge, that every single day. And Allah Almighty is like now he's testing every single one of us, especially like to this day and age. Yes, we need some explanation, and at the same time, we need some reminders. And inshallah, like even this dars is like a great reminder for all of us. And just think about it. So like if you are, as you mentioned, right? So like now if we just go out and meet new people, so, and they are being, of course, affected much more than inshallah. I mean, just I guess like just us, because imagine like you don't have this type of kind of just congregation, the brotherhood, and nobody's helping you. And how are you going to now just explain the things happening around you. So, and your perspective is going to change. And inshallah, like our perspective is like, now this is the way of like now study is teaching us. And then in order to understand the story, so I'm asking you, you're telling me, and Kolnijam, like just all these like brothers, like just jumping in and now inshallah, like we're learning, better and better. But this is the way that, right? So like we're basically changing our perspective and our interpretation in a sense. And then so like now, okay, so like now it makes sense, right? So like this is how rich this is now, right? So like how rich we are now at the moment. So mashallah, and how bountiful it is that we can explain and we have the chance. And inshallah, so like we're basically now just changing it. It is helping us like in a way that just to understand this complicated, very confusing just life. And every single minute, like we're being attacked. So like so and but then like just we have to make sense out of it. And this is a great kind of help. As you mentioned, like just now you go to work, just people interpret the life of things like just differently. So then you're amazed, oh, like why are they like behaving that way? But so they are the ones actually. So that their interpretation is too like even off. So that's why like they're but let's just like get going back again. So this is a great kind of reminder. So like seeing like in a way, as you just pointed out like just a minute ago.
When you come together with those people, you start talking about politics, economy, the inflation, and how the price is going up and things like that, and you get distressed, and you get psychologically distressed, and is causing you harm. And
exactly.
then you read these passages and you come to your senses back and try to see the good sides, what's happening in our lives, the bounties that Allah gives us, right?
And it's so easy to get sucked in, like seriously, in that sort of kind of conversation, and then all of a sudden, like just you're all kind of just images, like and all this, your thoughts, and get somehow like it's just polluted, like in a sense. Like then like you watch some news and everything, you read some kind of just stuff, and boom, you're already like just gone. So. And it's so like you're basically your hereafter is being threatened, and you maybe sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes you are not. So so we have to be careful, I guess. So but and I just wanted to remind like one more time, like just that. So it's us, like, right? So like this is the one that just start like helping every single one of them.
So please, other brothers, if you like to join in, Brother Sami, if you have comments on this chapter, please do share. We enjoy different contributions and perspectives. Otherwise, I will go into the shorts. Okay. Colin Hocam, would you like to share anything this moment?
I think what Nazif said is really important. I can't imagine what life would be like if I didn't have access to dars, to study circles like this, to discussion. Because if praying 5 times a day is like washing in a clean river 5 times a day, having a dars once a week is like washing your reception of ma'rifah, you forget how to receive ma'rifah if you never sit and think. Ma'rifah can't be earned, but we can ready ourselves for it. We can make dua for it. And these sessions are like a dua for Allah's grace to come upon us and give us ma'rifah to actually save ourselves from ourselves. Because as you said, there are two currents within us, and one pulls us one way and the other pulls us the other way. And if we don't have these opportunities, then, as you said, we get sucked in, we get pulled along, and then we blink, and then suddenly life is over, and we just waste time. And wasting time. There's a saying: if you kill time, you wound eternity. So killing time in this realm actually is wounding our eternity. So these are so important, these sessions. Even if you just listen and you don't speak, it's good actually to have more people speaking, because then you have less of just the same voice all over and over again. But the opportunity shouldn't be given up. And recently I was so fortunate to be able to spend 3 days in a kind of reading camp or retreat or whatever you want to call it with some dear brothers who some of them attend this dars as well. And it was 3 days. It changes a lot in your life, even in that short space of time. And when I came back to England, I got ill the next day, and I thought, this is telling me something. Usually when you break a habit, it causes illness. There's lots of sayings about that. And I think it's because to subject yourself to 3 days of this, we never do this. Even 1 hour is a lot for people to give of their time. 3 days, it was for me, although it was wonderful, I think my nafs al-amara didn't like it at all, and it made me ill. So alhamdulillah that it made me ill, because it showed me what we have to try to make the best of these opportunities. And even if it's difficult, it will be difficult at first because the nafs will rebel. But it's a golden opportunity, really, and we shouldn't miss it, because otherwise life goes by and we do nothing.
That's right.
Assalamu
So
alaikum.
somebody wants to join. Alaikum salam.
One aspect, it's very beautiful story there, full of symbolism. Alhamdulillah, Kuala Hocam, Nazif abi, they very beautifully expressed the meanings behind it. Maybe some parts not mentioned here comes to mind, and brothers, they also commented in these, in the halakas, the circles. For example, we in the story, the lion is coming from the forest. It's showing that the death is hidden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hiding the death, and we are running from the death, right? As the two brothers, they ran from the lion. The death is like a lion. We are so fearful of death, escaping, and they are coming across a waterless well. This it's also, so the water generally symbol of the life, and there is no water in the well. So maybe it is alluding to the real life is not this life in this world, temporary worldly life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has invited us to true permanent life in the hereafter. We are just tasting a little bit of the life, the pleasures of the life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us opportunity of the maybe approximately 60 years of life, full of trials, of difficulties, tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is, we are escaping from the lion. So it is alluding to the passion of life Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. We don't want to leave it. We don't want to leave all these pleasures. Of course, the evil commanding soul is supposing, if I leave this life, I will live eternally. That's not the case. So there are like these, there are many beautiful, symbolism, showing the meaning of the life. Also the studies, interpreting the tree with many fruits. It's it is also alluding to the many miracles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us in this life, showing it is indicating to the miracles, showing his existence and his unity. So the tree is one, and having many fruits. So creating from many things one thing. So that is very beautiful, explaining here Tawheed, right? Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's really important too. Creating one thing out of not from one thing, multiplicity, and from multiple things into one thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big sign of Tawheed. Jazakallah, thank you, Cezmi abi.
You're welcome.
There is a brother is raising his hand. Bhagja Putra, if he wants to join, please, you can share your thoughts.
Let me.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brothers, firstly, I want to say thank you so much for the time and especially for the change, for the opportunities you give to me. Okay, I want to give my comments. I want to give my, my thoughts about this passage, about this chapter, especially about the contents that I am really touched by this, these examples. It really reminds me about my past life. But Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is really, really, really kind to me and maybe to us. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Okay, actually, something that I want to share here is, something comes to my mind, and it is a hadith. Okay, it is a hadith. Maybe it's related to, to this chapter that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, that Rasulullah, our Prophet Subhanahu wa Taala said, "Wa Nabi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, anna Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam qad yaqulu Allah ana inda zanni abdi bi wa ana ma'ahu idza dhakarani fa in dhakarani fi nafsi dhakartahu fi nafsi wa in dhakarani fi mala'in dhakartuhu fi mala'in khairin minhum muttafaqun alayh." Okay, the meaning is on the authority of Abu Hurairah, may Allah bless him and grant him peace. He said that our Prophet, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm in accordance with my servant's perception, and I'm with them when he remembers me. If he remembers me when he is alone, I will remember him in me. And if he remembers me in a group, I will remember him in a better group than that group of the angels. Muttafaqun alayhi. And this hadith is authorized by Bukhari and Muslim. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, this text, this passage, this chapter really gives me, big, I mean, that's really incredible energy. That maybe this is such a tawafuk. This is such a tawafuk because, because sometimes, not sometimes, by the way, before I joined this lesson, before I joined this discussion, I got something so bad. But Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, the balance of destiny comes, the tofu comes, and you guys, you brothers, talk about these, about these examples. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, I'm so grateful and grateful, never stop being grateful again and again. And that's what I want to share to you brothers. And yeah, there is a hadith again that I remember that say that, pray about prayer, maybe about prayer and about believing in Allah. Pray to Allah in state of confidence that it will be granted, and know that Allah doesn't answer the prayers from the heedless heart. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's authorized by Tirmizi. And yeah, maybe that's all I think. That's all from me.
Thank you
Maybe
so much, brother.
yeah, you're welcome, brother. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry in advance if there's some disturbing voices here because I'm still on the way.
No, we are able to hear you and we enjoyed your contribution. This is a blessing. This is a community. We try to, benefit from our, different
Yeah,
perspectives, and
this is
we
so
all go through
beneficial.
things in life. And Alhamdulillah, if you're, in a better situation than before, this is
Yeah,
also happiness for us. May
Alhamdulillah.
Allah keep us in the straight path always,
Yeah.
inshallah.
Mhm. And yeah, the point that I want to share this is that hadith actually that comes to my mind again, and it really reminds us about this, about this passage, maybe about these happenings. Okay, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much. So brother Faisal is also raising hand. Do you want to?
Hello, I am Isa, by the way, but talking
Okay.
in my brother's telephone.
Okay.
So I want to comment about the sentences of to make everything from one thing and make one thing to everything. The phrase of this reminds me. It's I think. Yesterday, I have a meeting, Risale-i Nur discussion, and one brother said about this phrase is it is Hay and Mumit, the Allah's name to create and the death, and but also it is the Ehadiyat and Wahidiyat. It reminds him and what. And it make me interesting point. It gets me interesting point because we read in here we read this phrase is for to make everything from one thing, to make all plants and trees from earth. It is like a creation in here, but the story continuously gives us the meaning of the perspective that Wahidiyat and Ahadiyat, because the two person and two perspective, but the perspective changes everything, every point. For example, the dragon or the lion to the another horses and another garden. It just gives me the also the referencing to, I think, the fourth ray, the because the identity, when we talk about the perspective, we try to or we try to understand the human is when we talk about the identity of the human, it is in modernist way, it's we are separated, we are so narcissistic look in a sense. I don't know how to say, but in the Quranic perspective, Islamic perspective is making everything one thing. Is we have another identity that connects everything. I don't know how to say, but it just brings my mind to the when we read about this part. And yesterday I heard from this brother saying that it is yes, it is also creation and death, but it's also the Wahidiyat and Ahadiyat points. This sentences to make everything from one thing, and one thing to make everything.
So what I understood from what you say, please let me rephrase if I understood it correctly. So you're saying we are coming from the same earth, just like the plants and animals, right? We're coming from the same source. So Allah creating the way, He created other creations.
Yes.
So the Tawheed sign, the Tawheed stamp is on everything, including ourselves. So that gives us a bond, a connection with the all creatures around ourselves. So this is a perspective for Tawheed.
Yes.
Right? Is that what you want to say?
It is the sign of Quran. We have created you in one water. I don't know how to say in a good way, but yes, it is.
So we're coming from the same source.
Yes, same source. So it is the same source, but in the perspective form. The story gives us the yes. It is a creation, but it's also the psychological perspective. If you look at the universe in a one thing, yes, and you change your perspective, then you will find in position yourself in a way better than before. Yes,
Yes,
it is. So
that's right.
it is brings to my mind too. Thank you.
Yeah, like the soldiers in an army, right? We are all soldiers that belong to the same army, that coming from the same commander, and we try to obey, and we see the things around us as friendly, and as
Yes.
taking part in the same army, right? Thank you so much, Isa abi. Jazakallah. So let me finish it up with reading in shorts paragraph so that we can finish the chapter. In short, whoever makes this fleeting life his purpose and aim is in fact in hell, even if apparently in paradise. And whoever is turned in all seriousness towards eternal life receives the happiness of both worlds. However difficult and distressing this world is for him, since he sees it as the waiting room, so this is the brother on the right, even if the believers go through difficulty and distressing things in this world, for him, since he sees it as the waiting room for paradise, he endures it and offers thanks in patience. So we should, even if we go through troublesome events in our lives, we should endure them. And even in this condition, we should offer thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In every situation, for every state in life, we should be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I can get your last words, Colin Hocam or Nazif abi, if you like to join. Then I will make the dua and finish, inshallah.
I don't really have anything to add.
Okay.
Apart from the brother who just spoke, Brother Isa, I think. He has, mashallah, an excellent understanding of Risale, I think, because Ustad doesn't mention Ahad and Wahid there, but he talks about Ahad and Wahid, but he doesn't mention it actually by, he mentions Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah in that passage, but it is full of allusions to Ahad and Wahid, and the brother was able to intuit that, and inshallah he will work on his English so that he can become an excellent communicator of Risale.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Nazif abi, would you like to say any words?
No, just yeah, I mean, I could really enjoy today, seriously, and like these brothers, yeah, like Colin Hocam mentioned, so just chiming in and just giving us a little kind of just extra kind of things to just consider. It was really wonderful, and and also just so this is like how just the most of these darses and gives us like the little kind of opportunity to change our views a little bit and understand a little more and just go in depth. And also just kind of mentioned like just again like going back to our first talk and in any kind of situation, and then so like, and if inshallah just we just remind ourselves like, and again and also not to forget that life is dynamic, so it's not static. So just because like we just we listened here, so it's gonna end here. So and most of these the trials and everything, it comes like our daily life, and whenever like it come just any type of obstacle or any type of kind of challenge comes in, and inshallah we all have always like have the good thoughts, like just be optimistic and try to interpret it like in a nice way, like Colin Hocam said. So it goes back to like this in the retreat and comes back like he's not feeling sick, but he says, I broke my habit because like now it's a good thing. So, and may Allah like have this type of kind of just life view. So always just interpret it in a good way. So just to see that like what can I learn from it, and always be thankful and grateful and just and just thanks and like in patience. So like in just like in mention, so because if we believe in, so as the other brothers are going to mention, so like just I'm going to treat like how you just see how you believe in, right? So like how always have that this type kind of just thought in our hands in our heads, as a reminder. So like, that chip should always be on, right? So always kind of just blinking, and hey, just like see always, and look around you, but don't look, just like try to see them. So as you mentioned, like just that brother mentioned, so always see the stem, right? So and yeah, just these are all kind of letters and everything coming to us, coming at us, and they need to be read. So these are all just some sort of kind of emails or some sort of just warnings and messages, and be on the lookout, and inshallah hopefully finish this trial and this test with flying colors, inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Jazakallah. Just as what brothers Isa said, adding to it, the Tawheed point, Wahidi and Ahadiyya, that he mentions, the same things that are used by the sign, some people, they say evolution, and they use it to deny the existence of a creator. The same, from the same topic that I'm struggling to understand. This is how from the point of view of Islam and Iman, when you look at simple things from earth, and all these from singularity to multiplicity, it goes, and we see that this is a stamp of Tawheed. And some people, from the same point of view, from looking at the same event and process, and see they see the same thing, and then they somehow try to make a statement against the existence of a creator. SubhanAllah, that this is really bothers me a lot. I can't fathom how it happens. But anyway, so they see what they see, and they take the result, and have a troublesome life, and that's full of coincidences and randomness. And we, alhamdulillah, we have a creator, and that we see life in all coming, bringing messages to us. In every event, we try to see the message, and how a merciful Allah is trying to send a message to us and try to interpret us, and we try to take his pleasure in our lives. And this is such a sweet state of spirit. May Allah give us that spirit all the time, inshallah. So let's make the dua here. Allahumma ij'alna min ahli as-sa'adati was-salamati wal-Qur'ani wal-iman. Amin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi bi'adadi jami'il hurufati al-mutashakkilati fi jami'il kalimati al-mutamathilati بإذن الرحمن في مرايا تموجات الهواء عند قراءة كل كلمة من القرآن من كل قارئ من الأول النزول إلى آخر الزمان وارحمنا ووالدينا وارحم المؤمنين والمؤمنات بعددها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. O Allah, appoint us among the belief people of happiness, safety, the Quran and belief. Amin. O Allah, grant peace and blessings to our Master Muhammad والسلام, and to his family and companions, to the number of all the letters of the Quran formed in all its words, represented with the permission of the Most Merciful in the mirrors of the air waves, on the recital of each of those words by all the Quran's reciters from its first revelation to the end of times, and have mercy on us and on our parents, and have mercy on all believing men and women, to the number of those words. Through your mercy, O most merciful of the merciful. Ameen. And all praise be to Allah, the sustainer of all the worlds. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Al-Fatiha.